This is a handy-dandy chart to help you understand quadrilaterals. Now you should know that quad is 4, lateral side. So a quadrilateral equals 4 sides. Ta-da! So let's talk a couple of things. You've got parallelograms and trapezoids. See how we have these in 2 columns, and I'll do a little squiggly line here. All of these are quadrilaterals. Every single figure, every single polygon on this sheet has 4 sides. Parallelograms are the largest group, and we're going to talk about pieces of them. Opposite sides are parallel. That is the definition of a parallelogram. Definition. When it comes to the sides, opposite sides are congruent in a parallelogram. Comes to angles, opposite angles are congruent. Then we have diagonals. The diagonals bisect each other. And remember, bisect, cut in half. So opposite angles are congruent. On other notes, we're going to go over these properties again, but there will be pictures to go with them. So let's just get this. So parallelograms. Again, the definition is opposite sides are parallel. That makes it a parallelogram, not just a 4-sided figure. Now let's talk about rectangles. And if you'll notice how we go parallelogram down to rectangles and rhombi, then down to squares. All rectangles are parallelograms. Okay, let's do some highlighting. The definition is a parallelogram with 4 right angles. So it's not a different definition than a parallelogram, it is an additional requirement. Every rectangle has parallel sides, opposite sides are parallel, and 4 right angles. The sides are same as above. Opposite sides are congruent. And the angles, all angles are right angles. All angles. Because a rectangle is a parallelogram with 4 right angles. And then diagonals are same as above, but an additional category and congruent. Same as above and congruent. Now let's look at rhombi or a rhombus. And again, all rhombi are parallelograms. So let's look. You've got a parallelogram. I'm going to continue to highlight and do my colors. The definition of a rhombus is a parallelogram with 4 congruent sides. And as we just said, all the sides are congruent. All the angles follow the rules of above. Opposite angles are congruent. Diagonals follow the rules above and they are perpendicular to each other and bisect the opposite angles. So I'm going to go through this again. In a rhombus, it is a quadrilateral, a parallelogram with 4 congruent sides. All sides are congruent. All angles are the same as above, which means opposite angles are congruent. And as for diagonals, They do bisect each other, same as above, but they are also perpendicular to each other, and they bisect the opposite angles. We're going to have pictures soon, I promise. Now the last category we have gets interesting. Squares are rectangles. Squares are also rhombi. Squares are very special. So a square is a rectangle, is a parallelogram. A square is also a rhombus and a parallelogram. A rectangle is a parallelogram. A rhombus is a parallelogram. So the most restrictive category is at the bottom of our list. And let's talk about it. So a square is a parallelogram with 4 right angles and 4 congruent sides. See how that is part of the rectangle? A rectangle is a parallelogram with 4 right angles, and a rhombus is a parallelogram with 4 congruent sides. A square has both. It's very, very special. Sides, same as above. So sides, same as above, same as above. So you go up and you see that all opposite sides are congruent. Angles, opposite angles are congruent, and we know that anyway because all 4 angles are 90 degrees. Diagonals, all of the above, they bisect each other, and they are congruent. So, wow, lots of colors, lots of stuff with quadrilaterals. Now, trapezoids are a little bit easier, a little simpler. I'm going to draw a trapezoid for you. There's a trapezoid. It has 4 sides, but the sides don't necessarily have to be congruent. So let's look at the definition. Only one pair of opposite sides are parallel. That's called the bases. I'm going to draw parallel markers, the arrows. Those are parallel line markers. So we're going to say those 2 sides are parallel. The parallel sides of a trapezoid are the bases. It doesn't matter whether it's top and bottom or left and right side. The parallel sides are the bases. I'm going to underline that. Called the bases. Now the median, ooh, that's a new one. The median is a segment that connects the midpoints of the legs. So the median in this case would go like that. There's a midpoint. So that is congruent to, oops, almost made an oopsie here. That is congruent to that, and this one is congruent to this one. The legs are the not parallel sides. I'll do that, legs, not parallel sides. And there's a way to find the length of the median. It's 1/2 base 1 plus base 2. Now isosceles trapezoids, ooh, those are special. I'll do those in this color. Let's see if I can draw this. I want to draw it in a highlighter. Wish me luck, guys. I am so bad at drawing. But let's draw an isosceles trapezoid. That's as good as it's going to get, let me tell you. These are the bases. Those are the parallel sides. And these are the legs. So the definition of an isosceles trapezoid is the legs are congruent. In the angles, where am I? Angles are blue. Base angles are congruent, which means these 2 angles are congruent. And then diagonals are congruent. So if I'm going to draw a diagonal, let's label this A, B, C, D. So what I just said is BD is congruent to AC. And up here, okay? So this chart you're going to be able to refer to again and again. If you want to stop and take a picture, go for it.